tell you 3 quick things that bring me a lot of joy. The first thing that brings me a lot of joy is my family. My husband and I have been married almost like 30 years. We have 4 adult children. They are amazing. They are all called creatives. And we have the most amazing grandson. He's 5. His name is Judah Mercy. And we have another grandchild on the way, making their debut this spring in March. And I could not be more over the moon. The second thing that brings me a lot of joy is family and friends around the dinner table. I love it to just make some good food and invite some friends over and invite my family over, sit, eat a good meal, talk and laugh about what's happening in the world and spending time together. Those are some of my favorite memories. Which brings me to the third thing that brings me a lot of joy. I can't say it's abiding joy, but it makes me laugh a lot. I am an Adam Sandler fan. Yes, I'm a proud Adam Sandler fan, and I think his movies are amazing. And the funniest movie that I just saw is on Netflix. It's called My Best Friend's Bar Mitzvah, so you guys should check that out. What up though, Roberts Wesleyan? You guys heard that phrase this morning in chapel. I'm Shenay Shumake, and I can just tell you, it's been so great being with you guys this morning and all week long so far. And I want to talk to you a little bit more about abiding in joy. When we think about abiding joy, oftentimes we don't think about joy in the context of pruning or cutting or cultivating. None of those things sound a lot of fun. But when we take a look at John chapter 15, verse 1, Jesus has this conversation with his disciples, and he introduces the Father as the vine dresser. And he says, my Father is the vine dresser, and Jesus, I'm the vine. And then he starts talking a little bit about what the Father does. What is a vine dresser? Like, we don't use that kind of language today, but it's really somebody who knows how to cultivate the vine. They know how to cut off the vine. They know how to prop the vine up with trellises. They know how much water or sunlight or cutting that needs to happen in order to get the vine to bear fruit. It's doing the work so that the vine actually does what it's supposed to do, and that is bear fruit. But when we think about ourselves as being a part of that vine and think about ourselves as being the branch, it doesn't really seem exciting to have God come and cut away the parts of us that are dead, cut away the parts of us that aren't working, cut away the parts of us that are not bearing fruit. And so I want to share with you just really quick what I believe are 2 ideas about God that we need to keep in mind when it comes to allowing ourselves to submit to the work that God is doing. The first thing we have to keep in mind is that the vine dresser is committed to us bearing fruit. He's committed to our joy. When you think about Jesus and how Jesus goes to the cross, what he actually says is, the scripture says that for the joy set before him, he endured the cross. Now, enduring a cross doesn't sound like anything any one of us would ever want to do or ever want to experience. And if Jesus had thought that the Father was bringing to him this hard thing and this persecution without any fruit, without any real product, without any expectation and hope for success, he would have shrank back. But what he said in the Garden of Gethsemane was, nevertheless, Lord, not my will, but your will be done. And so whenever it comes to abiding in full joy, the first thing we have to really know is that God knows what he's doing. He knows exactly when to cut. He knows exactly where to prop us up. He knows when we feel dry and thirsty and we need water. He knows which branches and which parts of our lives are not serving us well and they're useless. He knows the parts that look like showy leaves and it looks like we're flourishing, but we're never going to actually bear fruit in that area unless we actually submit it to him. We have got to trust the vine dresser and trust his intention for us. I love that Ephesians chapter 1 and 5 says that he adopted us into his family. And how did he do it? Why did he do it? because of his kind intention towards us. And so you and I have got to know that the Father's intention toward us is kind. And every part of us that he brings into cultivation is something that he's doing because he absolutely wants the best for us. So we can trust his masterful hand. We can trust the places that he brings us to and the places that he leads us to, knowing that in the end, he is more committed to our success even than we are. And the second thing that we've got to remember when it comes to abiding in joy is that God has a part and we have a part. That's one of the things that I love about John chapter 15, verse 1, because it identifies the part of every single part of the vine. The Father is the vine dresser, Jesus is the vine, and we are the branches. And our directive, our imperative in that entire chapter is to abide in Jesus's words and abide in his love. But guess what? Our responsibility is not to make ourselves bear fruit. We can't do it. There's no plant anywhere that can make itself bear fruit. It relies on a gardener. It relies on a vine dresser. It relies on someone with expert hands to come and cultivate. And sometimes we can get so frustrated in our lives because we want to bear fruit. We want to please God. We want to have success. We want to live in abiding joy, but we get a little confused and we forget what's our part and we forget what God's part is. And so I want to invite you to remember that God's part is for the pruning. God's part is for the cutting. God's part is for the cultivating. And when he does that so that when we do our part, we can bear fruit. So what's our part? Our part is just to remain in him. Our part is to stay fixed in him. Our part is to stay connected to him. Our part is to abide in him and his words and in his love so that we can live in full, abounding joy. It's been so good to be with you. I hope that blesses you. See you soon.